Mantazoids rise from the scrap and the ash. Blue against red in a futuristic clash. Engines roar, gears blind and will smash. Zoidstar screams in an endless bash. Plasma cannons fire with relentless zeal. Metals in your muscles made of steel. Guardians swarm, strike fear they feel. Mantazoids march, delivering their ideal. In the ruins of an ancient robotic land, red mutants falter while they take a stand. Red horns rage versus a steely hand. Mantazoids conquer, programmed and bland. Night descends, but the fight never ends. Blue electric storm as their will bends. Red and blue colors collide and blend. Mantazoids march, forever they defend. Metals in your muscles made of steel. Guardian swarm strikes fear they feel. Mantazoids march, delivering their ideal. Mantazoid squad in the lab, blue army marching, ready for a fight. Steel claws clicking at an elation sight. Twist our hands in a pulse and tight. Eyes glowing in the night, blue army marching, ready for a fight. Steel claws clicking enemies in sight. Zoidstar, that's where the pulse is so tight. Mechanical hearts beat with cold precision. Red mutants tremble under fierce division. Red horn roars in his wild ambition. Battlefields burn in his cruel vision. Mantazoids rise from the scrap and the ash. Blue against red in a futuristic clash. Engines roar, gears grind, metal smash. Zoidstar screams in an endless bash. Plasma cannons fire with relentless zeal. Metal sinew muscles made of steel. Guardian swarm strikes fear they feel. Mantazoids march, delivering their ideal. In the ruins of an ancient robotic land, red mutants falter while they take a stand. Red horns rage versus a steely hand. Mantazoids conquer, programmed and planned. Night descends, but the fight never ends. Blue electric storm as the will bends. Red and blue colors collide and blend. Mantazoids march, forever they defend. uses a steely hand. Mantazoids conquer, programmed and bland. Night descends, but the fight never ends. Blue electric storm as their will bends. Red and blue colors collide and blend. Mantazoids march forever, they defend. Metal sinew muscles made of steel. Guardian swarm strikes, fear they feel. Mantazoids march, delivering their appeal.